All right, guys, how's it going? So let's start with, we're going to talk about the carving, or what would be a relief carving on our mugs. Okay, so we finally got our mugs made. Now we're going to start doing the design, or the decorations that we've chosen. And now this is where we're going to start using some different terminology. And I did a little chart here that I'm going to pull in. These aren't all of the words that we would use, guys, but these are the general ones that we'll talk about, and kind of some of the ones that you should know when you're doing some relief carving. So let's talk a little bit about negative space. So negative space on something like this would be all of this area out here, the parts that are not part of your actual design, and how they reflect in the overall piece. So we really need to pay attention to our negative space. You know, what are we going to put into our negative space that's going to help draw the eye into the actual design. Okay, the next one would be positive space. So positive space just is really talking about the actual this here, so our carving, whatever we're carving. So for instance, I've been talking to some of you guys, and I've been telling you that we need to make sure that, you know, we're taking our designs all the way around. So I'm still working on this one. So I've got my frog on one side, even though I know, and I'll show you here the sketches here in just a second, that I was going to do just this right here, just the lizard, the chameleon. I decided I also had enough space over here, so because I didn't want to have one side be just completely like blank and have nothing there. So I wanted to do something a little bit more, so I threw in the frog on this side here, and I think I'm actually even going to sculpt something that's going to be, you know, that's going to sit right up here, a little grasshopper, you know, that will be able to be removed, or I might even attach it. I don't know. I'm not there yet. An undercut. Let's talk just a little bit about an undercut. An undercut is kind of important. You can start to see those here. Those are going to help cast the shadows that'll actually really help give you depth in a really shallow carving. Okay, and as all that really is how you take your tool and you bring it back behind, just add a little bit of shadowing, a little bit of separation to help it make it look like it actually is separate, something that is not part of it, like you know, you can see the shadowing and stuff like that from where I've done that. So that's an undercut, somewhere where it actually goes underneath. Now these here, guys, these are just terms that I use when I'm actually doing relief carving. A V cut, a V cut, or an L cut. Okay, and I'll explain those to you a little bit more in here in just a second. That's just what I've referred to them as. There may be something different that they're referred to, but I'll show you the difference, what I mean by a V cut and an L cut. Now, something that I also want you guys to start thinking about and looking at and stuff are the difference between a low relief and a high relief carving. Okay, guys, so in low relief, which is mostly what we're going to be doing here, are low relief carvings. Guys, that's just where we go when we only just kind of go through the first couple of layers. Now, a high relief are, you know, some of these things that you do, you still have a low relief behind it, but they're the ones where you have like a low relief, and then all of a sudden, like say something like a hand is coming out of it, or, you know, something like where it's more sculptural. You have like almost an entire sculpture that's popping out of it. It's more, you know, lively. It's more, you got a lot more going on. It's coming out towards you more. Okay, so that would be a high relief. Okay, guys, so those are some of the terms that I want you guys to start kind of thinking about as you're designing these and decorating them. So this is one that I'm still working on, so I'm going to put this one off to the side. I'm going to show you one that I finished years ago. So this is one that I did a long time ago. It's just a low relief. It just has a little kind of a carving of a, you know, it's a clay crew thing we used to do when I was younger, and that's my actual symbol. So if you find a pot that has that mark on it, that's my actual mark for my pots. So a couple of things that I want you guys to start thinking about doing, guys, is you take a dull pencil, about something like that, okay? And you can actually start to draw if your clay is leather hard. Now let me show you what, it's kind of hard to show you over a video what leather hard is, but I'm going to start applying some pressure to this. You guys can see I'm actually squeezing this mug, and it's not really moving much. And it's got this, it looks, if you look at it, it looks like just the normal clay out of the bag, but it's actually really pretty stiff, okay, guys? That's what leather hard would mean. Leather hard is really the best time to start working on carving away the clay and stuff like that, because it's still moist enough to be able to be moved and stuff, but it's not too dry to where when you start, you know, carving away at it, it's going to start breaking off or chipping, or if it's too wet, you guys will start, it'll be mushy and really hard to keep clean and stuff. This way you'll get some nice clean lines if you let it set for a little while and get kind of a little stiff, okay? So I'm gonna show you guys the designs. So once again, here are my designs. This was the lizard. I decided I was gonna go ahead and throw the frog on the other side, and then this one I'm just gonna do books, okay guys? So what I've done is I've gone through and these are just pencil marks, and I've done two different ones. You know, I kind of, once again, I'm making the design all the way around, so it's kind of something that you can continually look at, okay? Now let's talk about the different types. So this is the tool, okay guys? This would be referred to as a cleanup tool, okay? I also like to call it a sgraffito tool, just because that end is really reminiscent of a sgraffito type tool. Sgraffito meaning to carve, okay, or to clean up, which is what we call it over here. It's got the sharp end here, and it's got a kind of a curved sharp end here, which is really good because that V cut I was telling you about is really going to be something that with a lot of the glazes that we use, or even if you're just watching this, if you use a glaze that's not really transparent, if it's really, you know, got a lot of color to it, or if it's really thick, if you don't kind of carve away and carve into it, you're going to lose a lot of your details. So for instance, using a needle tool to do all of your carving isn't going to work. You're going to want to go much deeper and much wider in a lot of your cuts. So for instance, a V cut would be going fairly deep and just using the tip of that tool to go like this. Now see, I refer to that right there as a V cut because it leaves kind of a V shape into your mug, and you want to go pretty deep with a V cut. Once again, so you can see that color, so you can see your design through your color, okay? So some of the other things now, let's talk about how we blend these in and we kind of start bringing it into that negative space. So this is how we get that L cut I was talking about. So what I do is I do my V cut along that edge, and then I start taking and I remove this clay here, just pulling it away, starting to separate this into layers. So there's going to be different layers. Now this bottom book, this is the one thing you got to remember, taking a two-dimensional object and then now interpreting it into three-dimension. So what's going to happen as we start carving away at this, guys, is this one here, I'm actually going to have to carve away most all of this in a couple of different stages, because this book is going to be on top of this book, and so this one's going to be the topmost layer of clay, and then this one's going to be the next, and then the next. So you've got to be able to take it down pretty deep, okay? Not all the way through. That's where you got to be really careful. You don't want to take it all the way through, but you know, leave about a 1/16 of an inch there, down there at that, down here, okay? So then that way, when you get this one done and you go all the way around, what I normally do is I'll go with my lowest one first, and I'll take it down to as low as I possibly can, you know? So I'll take it to where, you know, since we're about 1/4 of an inch here, I'm going to remove all of my clay that I can, okay? And then I'll start taking away different layers. So I know that this one's going to be lower, and then this one will be lower as well. And then I'll leave this one pretty much right at the top here. And then all I'll do with this guy here is I'm going to come through, and then I'm just going to remove the clay. Not too deep, you know. And then I want to blend this line here, removing all of this here, so it kind of looks like it's just sitting there, and that's where it belongs. Okay, guys? So that's what I want you to think about as you're carving. So just think about the different steps and the layers that you're going to be using in your mugs. So for instance, like this guy right here, you can see that there's two different layers here. You can see where he's on the stick, and you can see different parts of him where he's either holding onto the stick or where he's like, so he's like his leg here that's coming out, so it's above the stick here. So I've actually got it to where it's coming more out than the stick is itself. You know, maybe just a little bit closer here. okay? And then so on and so forth, and then this one here. And so I'm gonna clean him up some more, but you know, I've generally got him pretty much well done. And then this right here, I added that on. So if there's a piece that you need to add on, you could almost call that like a high relief technique where you're actually adding it on and it really pops out, it really comes out to the forefront. Okay, and then the same here, see where I'm starting to, this is one where I've got to do a lot here because, you know, I've got this arm that's here in the front here, so I've got to make it look like it's coming out more than the stomach, and you can see I've still got quite a bit of work I've got to do on this guy here too, okay? So just think of those things as you're carving and you're pulling away, guys, and you know, realize that this is, you know, this might be, for a lot of you, this might be your first attempt, you know, so, you know, go ahead and, you know, play, experiment, do what you need to do, have fun, okay, guys? So that's it for the relief carving and how it's done. And you know, guys, have fun and you know, let me know what you're doing, and you know, send me some pictures, or let me see what you guys are up to and stuff. You know, but as always, guys, it's easy if you subscribe. You get to be the first to see the new videos. Hopefully they're constantly improving, and you know, we're going to start seeing some other things in here. We're going to do a pinch pot. And that one's kind of, the way that I do pinch pots is a bit different than a lot of the ways that it's been taught. And you know, hopefully we're gonna get some wheel throwing in on this channel. So this is it for relief carving, guys. Hope it helps out. Thanks, and don't forget to subscribe and like this. See you guys, bye.